Good afternoon, guys. We'll start with today's session. So we'll be dealing with work per energy today, right? So what is it that you deal with in work per energy mostly? What is it that you deal with in work per energy mostly? As the name itself suggests, you'll be looking at what work done is, what power is, and what energy is. So if you remember, how did we begin this chapter with? In this chapter, we first mentioned that the kind of energy we'll be studying over here. The energy we'll be concentrating on most is kinetic energy in this chapter, right? We'll be looking at how kinetic energy can be influenced and what are the ways in which kinetic energy can be changed. So the energy which we'll be studying about over here is kinetic energy. And your formula for kinetic energy is anyways half mv square. Right? That is something which you're familiar with. Right? So we'll be looking at the different ways in which kinetic energy can be changed. Right? And and when we talk about kinetic energy, we say that in order to change the kinetic energy, what needs to be changed? To change the kinetic energy, what needs to be changed is the speed, right? If we change the speed of the particle, we will change the kinetic energy of the particle. So in order to change the speed, what is required? To change kinetic energy, we need to change the speed of the particle, right? And in order to change the speed of the particle, we need a force acting on it. We need a force acting on it. But a force alone doesn't guarantee that it will change speed. For example, in uniform circular motion, if you observe in uniform circular motion, the velocity changes, but the speed remains constant because the force is always acting perpendicular to the velocity, right? So in order for you to change the speed, you must have a force component. In order to change the speed, you need a force component parallel to speed. You need a force component parallel to speed, right? And this is important. This logic is important for you to get your formula of definition of your work done, right? So now with this, let me move on to definition of work done. So first thing we'll mention is, in this chapter, we're studying about kinetic energy and what are the different ways in which kinetic energy can be changed. If I need to change the kinetic energy, I need to change the speed. And if I need to change the speed, I need a force acting parallel to the speed. I need a force component parallel to the speed. What does your force component perpendicular to the speed does? What is your force component? Sorry, I should write perpendicular velocity. What is the role of your force component perpendicular to velocity? What does your force component perpendicular to velocity do? Your force component perpendicular to velocity will not change speed. It will only change the direction. Again, the example I want to give you is uniform circular motion. In uniform circular motion, your force always acts perpendicular to velocity. So you see that the speed is not changing over there, but what changes is the direction, right? So to change the speed, we need a force component parallel to velocity, right? Right, fine. So using this, we'll now define what work done is. And we'll first go with the meaning of what work done is, and then we'll look at the mathematical formula of what work done is, right? So once again, I asked you to remember this definition of work done. We say that work is being done on an object. We say that work is being done on an object if energy is transferred or removed from the object. If energy is transferred or removed from the object. We say that work is done on an object when energy is even given to the object or taken away from the object, right? So if energy is given to an object, we say that the work done is positive. If energy is transferred to the object, we say that the work done is positive. If the energy is taken away from an object, or if energy is removed from an object, we say that the work done is negative. We say that the work done is negative, or we say that negative work is being done. So this is the definition of work done you have to remember. This is the idea of work done you have to remember. We say that positive work is being done when energy is being given to an object, and we say that negative work is being done when energy is taken away from an object, right? Fine. And now, from this meaning itself, you should be able to answer some questions. Like, for example, when I push the wall now, when I'm trying to push this wall, is the wall moving or is it remaining stationary? The wall is remaining stationary. So even though I'm applying a force over here, is the force I'm applying capable of changing the kinetic energy of the wall? No, your kinetic energy of the wall is not changing. Or in other words, my force is not transferring energy to the wall. So the energy transferred to the wall is zero. So the work done by me is zero over here. Right? That's the idea you must have in mind whenever you think about work done. So whenever work is done, you just look at what energy is being transferred or removed. That should be the basic idea you must have. If energy is transferred, work done is positive. If energy is taken away, work done is negative. So for example, now I'm pushing a block. So the block actually moves after I push it, right? So before I started pushing the block, what was the kinetic energy of the block? It was zero. But after I start pushing it, like after it starts moving, because of the force I applied, Your block has now obtained some energy. Your block has obtained some kinetic energy. Where did it obtain the kinetic energy from? It obtained the kinetic energy from me because I've applied the force. So in that case, what is the work done by me? The work done by me will be positive because I've transferred some energy to the block. I've transferred some energy to the block because of which the block starts moving. It gains kinetic energy, right? Similarly, if you have a block which is moving and you bring it to rest, if you have a block which is moving and you bring it to rest, you're basically removing kinetic energy from that object. By applying a force, you're removing kinetic energy from that object. So in that case, what kind of work are you doing on it? Are you doing positive work or are you doing negative work? We're doing negative work in that case, right? So please keep this idea somewhere in the back of your mind. That will be helpful for you to realize whether the work done is positive or negative, right? Fine. So now with this logic, let me give you a mathematical definition of work done. So with this, let me define your work done mathematically. So then we say work is done if energy is transferred. We say work is done if energy is transferred. Or in other words, work is done if there is a change in kinetic energy. If energy is transferred or if energy is removed, that means that if kinetic energy changes, once again, the energy which we'll be talking about is kinetic energy over here, right? So if energy is removed from a block, or if energy is removed from or given to a block, or if energy is removed from an object or given to an object, in that case, the kinetic energy of that object will change, right? So in order to change the kinetic energy, what is required? You need a force component parallel to it. And that's why in your work done formula, you'll have F cos theta. You'll have F cos theta in your formula for work done. I think you remember what the formula of work done is, right? It's Fs cos theta, which I'm rearranging it as F cos theta into S, right? So once again, the idea you must have is because you need to change kinetic energy. You say work is being done only if there's a change in kinetic energy, only if energy has been transferred. So that means work will be done only if you have a force component parallel to it, parallel to the velocity, and that force component parallel to the velocity is basically F cos theta. That's why you have an F cos theta term over here. You have the cos theta term over here, and your work done is anyways F into S into cos theta. What are the different ways? What is the other way in which you can write this? Your force and displacement are vectors over here. So what is the formula for work done? Your formula for work done will be equal F bar dot S bar, right? Your dot product of two vectors will be called AB cos theta. Your A bar dot B bar will be equal to AB cos theta, right? So this will be your formula for work done. And remember, this is your formula for work done only if the force is constant. This formula is only applicable if force is constant. This formula is only applicable if the force is constant, right? If your force is variable, if the force which you're applying on an object is variable, then what will your formula for work done become? Your formula for work done becomes integral F bar dot ds bar. Integral F bar dot ds bar now. Why is it integral F bar dot ds bar now? Because if your force is variable now, that is your force keeps on changing with time. We say that for a small displacement, your force will anyways be constant. For a really small displacement, your force will be constant. So what if your work done during that small displacement? Because your force is constant during that small displacement, I can apply this formula F bar dot S bar for that small displacement. So your work done during that small displacement will be equal to F bar dot ds bar. But I need the total work done. So that will be the sum of all F bar dot ds bar. That will be the sum of work done during each such small displacement. So you get your work done to be equal to integral of F bar dot ds bar, right? So this is the first thing which you concentrate on in this chapter. The first thing which you concentrate on in your work part energy is the definition of work and calculating work. Right? So remember, you have two formulas for work done. If your force is constant, the formula is F bar dot S bar. If your force is variable, your force will become your formula for work done will become integral F bar dot ds bar. And please understand why it's integral F bar dot ds bar now, because for small displacement force will be constant. So the work done during that small displacement is F bar dot ds bar. But I need the work done during the entire displacement. So I'll add up all F bar dot ds bar now, and that basically becomes your integral F bar dot ds bar, right? Fine. So these are your formulas. Now let's apply these formulas to some cases and derive more formulas from that. So now we'll take an example of a constant force and we'll take an example of a variable force and look at what is the general formula which you're getting for that constant force and a variable force. So now let me take the example of a constant force. And the example I take for a constant force is gravitational force. We'll now look at work done by gravity. Right? And even your gravitational force is strictly not constant. You've read the chapter of gravitation. It is gm1 m2 by r squared. But for a particle which is lying close to the surface of the earth, For a particle which is lying close to the surface of the Earth, what will be the force acting on that particle always? It will be mg. It will be mg always, even though the height, even though the difference between the particle and the center of the Earth keeps on changing as the particle moves. But I'll say that the difference is negligible. We can say that that force is almost constant for objects which are close to the surface of the Earth, right? So for objects which are close to the surface of the Earth, if I have a block of mass m, which is lying close to the surface of the Earth, what force will the Earth apply on this object? The force applied by the Earth on this object, we say, will be equal to mg, where g is your acceleration due to gravity, right? And your g will remain constant. It's actually not constant. Once again, it changes with height, but we'll say that it's constant up to a certain range. We can assume that it's constant up to a certain range, right? So the example I'll be taking for a constant force is gravity now. And now we'll derive a formula for work done by gravity. We'll now derive a formula for work done by gravity. So let's say let me take the case of projectile motion. Right? So let's say a person throws a particle from a height h. A person throws a particle from a height h, right? And this particle reaches the ground and it lands at the ground at a distance of x from the foot of the from the foot of this cliff, right? I'm throwing a particle. This particle is being thrown from a height h, and when it lands on the ground, I see that it lands at a distance of x from the foot of this cliff. So now we'll try to calculate what will be the work done by gravity on this object. What will be the work done by gravity on this object? And what should be the idea you must have now? If I'm calculating work done by gravity, I'm also calculating how much energy is gravity transferring to it. How much energy is gravitational force transferring to this object, right? And now, so basically you should be able to get the answer, at least in terms of positive or negative. Now, is gravitational force giving energy to this object or taking away energy from this object? As this object falls down, will it gain kinetic energy or will it lose kinetic energy? This object will gain speed, it will gain kinetic energy. So that means this object is gaining energy from gravitation, that is from gravity. So your work done by gravity here, should this be positive or should it be negative? The work done by gravity on this object should be positive, because gravitational force is giving energy to it, right? At least I'll get the sign now. Now let's try to find out what the exact value will be equal to, right? So during this entire path, let the mass of this particle be m. Let the mass of this particle be m. So anywhere during its path, anywhere in its path now, is gravitational force different or is it constant? Your gravitational force is constant everywhere, right? When a particle is here, your force will be mg. Even when the particle is here, the force will be mg. That will not change. That will remain the same everywhere, right? So during this entire motion, the force acting on it will be same. Remember, when will you say a force is same? A force is a vector. So you'll say that a force remains constant if both the value and the direction remains the same. If both the value and the direction remains the same. So during this entire motion, you see that your gravitational force has the same value mg and also keeps acting in the same direction. It keeps acting in the downward direction, right? So now let's calculate what will be your work done by gravity. So what formula can I use over here for this constant force? Because I know mg is a constant force. It is a constant force during this entire motion. Your formula for work done which we'll be using over here is F bar dot S bar. I can use this formula. That is F bar dot S bar, right? So what is your force? So we are calculating work done by which force? We are calculating work done by gravitational force. So what will be your force written in a vector form over here? Taking this as your x-axis, taking this as your y-axis, the general notation of x and y. What will be the force exerted by gravity on this object? The force exerted by gravity on this object will be equal to mg of minus j. The force exerted by gravity on this object will be equal to mg of minus j, right? And what is your displacement vector? How much displacement does this object have? Again, displacement is a vector. So how do you write this displacement vector? You write this displacement vector as, this would be a displacement vector. There is a straight line joining your initial position and your final position. It's not distance right now, right? We need to calculate displacement over here. So this is your displacement of this particle. So how will I write the displacement of this particle in vector form? How much is it moving along x? So the x component of displacement is nothing but the distance it has moved along x. So how much distance has it moved along x? It has moved x distance only according to the condition we have taken. And it's moving x distance along the positive x direction. So it's xi cap. And what is your displacement along the y direction? Your displacement along the y direction is h in the negative y direction. So what if your displacement particle in the y direction? That will be minus h. So what is your displacement vector? the displacement vector will be equal to xi cap minus hj cap, right? So what will be the work done by gravity? No, that will be equal to F bar dot S bar. So work done by gravity will be equal to minus mg j cap dot xi cap minus hj cap. And what will be the dot product of these two vectors? There is no I cap over here. So 0 into 0, 0 into x, that will become equal to 0. And what about this? It's minus mg j cap dot minus hj cap. So you get your work done by gravity over here to be equal to mgh. So one thing you should observe over here is, since your gravitational force always acts in the negative y direction, at least for particles close to the surface of the Earth. Since your gravitational force always acts in the negative y direction, and since you'll be taking now F bar dot S bar, so when you take F bar, your F bar will always remain minus mg j cap when you're considering gravitational force. So basically, which component of displacement matters in finding out work done by gravity? When you want to find out work done by gravity, the only component of displacement which matters over here is the vertical component of displacement, right? No matter how much distance the particle moves along x, that doesn't matter in your work done by gravity. Your work done by gravity depends only on the vertical component of displacement, right? Because that is the one which will get multiplied to this. As you can see, the x component becomes 0 when multiplied by the other. Your x component of the force vector is 0 over here, right? So when you take the dot product, that will anyways become 0. So this is one important point over here. Your work done by gravity depends only on vertical displacement. Depends only on y component of displacement. It depends only on y component of displacement. And now, if I have to give a general formula for work done by gravity, what is your general formula for work done by gravity? The general formula for work done by gravity, I would say, is equal to mg into delta h. Or let me write this plus or minus mg to delta h. The work done by gravity will always be equal to plus or minus mg to delta h, where delta h is the change in height, where delta h is the displacement along the y direction. There is a change in height, right? And when will the work done by gravity be positive? The work done by gravity will be positive if the particle is moving downwards. If the particle is moving downwards, then you'll see that the work done by gravity will be positive because gravity will give energy to the object. And if the particle is moving upwards, the work done by gravity will be negative, right? So this is the idea you must have whenever you want to calculate work done by gravity. So no matter how the particle is moving, your work done by gravity depends only on the change in height. So work done by gravity will always be equal to plus or minus mg into delta h. How do you decide if it's plus or minus? If the particle is moving downwards, your gravitational force and displacement are in the same direction, so work done will be positive. Or gravity will give energy to this object, so work done will be positive. If the particle is moving upwards, force and displacement are in opposite directions, so work done by gravity will be negative. Or the particle gravitational force will remove energy from this particle, so the work done has to be negative, right? So this is the example of work done by a constant force I've taken, and from that we have arrived at another formula, that is the work done by gravity, and your work done by gravity will be equal to plus or minus mg to delta h, right? Fine. Next one. The example, now we'll take an example of a variable force. And what example do we take for a variable force? If you remember what you've done in class, the example we take for a variable force is a spring. We take the example of a spring and we calculate what's the work done by a spring. Right? So let's take the same example. We'll now take the example of work done by a spring now. We'll now take the example of work done by a spring. Right? And how do I know that the spring force is a variable force? So let's first look at what a spring does. So imagine a block is connected to a spring. Imagine that a block is connected to a spring. And let the spring constant be K. So I think you guys are aware of what the formula for the force applied by a spring will be equal. So what will be the formula for force applied by a spring on an object? The formula for force applied by a spring, you write as minus Kx. This will be a force applied by a spring. Once again, people get confused between force and work done, especially for a spring case. So please understand your minus Kx is nothing but the force applied by the spring, right? And what's the meaning of x over here? What's the meaning of x in this case? X is nothing but displacement from natural length. It is displacement from natural length of the spring. The displacement from natural length of the spring. That is nothing but an elongation or compression. That will be nothing but elongation or compression. Right? So first of all, if you have a block which is attached to a spring, the force which the spring applies on the block will be called minus Kx. where K is the spring constant. If you probably remember what the spring constant, I guess you remember what the spring constant is, right? We said that if force is proportional to minus x, the proportionality constant will be a spring constant, and x will be the displacement from the natural length of the spring, right? So that is your elongation or compression which you have produced from the spring, right? Just to fine. So once again, the formula is your force applied by a spring will be equal to minus kx. So what is the negative sign over there imply? That just implies the direction over there. So if I just have to say the formula was kx, that's also okay. Your kx is the value of force. Your kx is what is the value of force applied. Your kx will be the value of force acting on it. The negative sign over there just indicates direction. The negative sign over here just indicates direction. The negative sign just indicates direction. Right? So what does it mean? So now if I move this block by a distance x naught towards right, if this block is moved by a distance x naught towards right, so now is the spring elongated or is the spring compressed? So we need to have a visualization of how the spring force acts. So when I move this block by a distance x naught, the spring will get elongated. Now move by x naught towards right, the spring will get elongated, right? And when a spring is elongated, what does the spring try to do? The spring will always try to attain its natural length. So how will it? What force will it exert? It will exert a force towards left now, and that force will be equal to kx naught. So once again, I'm writing the value of the force is kx naught. The direction is opposite to your direction of displacement. This block has been moved towards right from its natural position. This block has been moved towards right from the natural position. So the force, remember what the force applied by a spring is. So hopefully remember what the force applied by a spring is. Now we'll calculate what the work done by spring will be. Now we look at how we derive the formula for work done by spring. Block, spring, block is initially at natural length. So the block does not elongate or compress the spring initially. So what will be your x value according to the formula F is equal to minus k for this case? When your block is at its natural length, the displacement it has from its, sorry, when the spring is at its natural length, the displacement it has from its natural length is 0. So that means your x value should be equal to 0. So if you keep the block attached to a spring and the spring is at its natural length, the spring will not exert a force. The spring will only exert a force when it's elongated or compressed, right? So now let me move this block from here to a distance x naught. Let me move this block by a distance x naught towards right. So as I'm moving this block by a distance x naught towards right, the spring will always try to pull it back. I am making it move now. I'm forcibly making it move from here to here, right? But the spring will always try to pull it back. The spring will always apply a force, right? And will this force applied by the spring be constant or will it be different at different points? The force applied by the spring will be different at different points. For example, here the force applied by the spring will be 0 because the spring is neither elongated nor compressed. Now, as soon as I start moving it, your spring starts getting elongated. So your spring will try to pull the object back, right? So when I'm at a distance x, when I'm at a distance x from your natural position, when I'm at a distance x from your natural length of the spring, when I'm elongating the spring by a distance x, what is the force applied by the spring? The force applied by the spring will be kx, right? So as your x value varies, as the distance of the block from the natural length varies, as the displacement of the block from the natural length varies, the force applied by the spring will also change. So during this entire displacement, your force is not constant. Your force keeps on varying here. So here you can see why a spring force is a variable force, right? So now we're dealing with how to calculate the work done by a variable force. So what was the logic? What is the formula you had for work done by a variable force? The formula was integral F R. Great. But we'll be looking at how to apply this formula. As in, why have we written it as integral F bar dot ds bar? How do we apply it over here? So what was the logic for writing it as integral F bar dot ds bar? Because we'll say that for a small displacement, your force can be treated as constant. So your work done during that small displacement will be F bar dot ds bar. Then adding them all up to get a total work. That is your integration, right? So that's the same logic which we're using over here as well. So when I'm moving this block from here to here, your force is varying now. So I can't use the formula F bar dot S bar. That's out of the picture now. I can't use it because the force is varying. But now, from this x, if I move this block by small displacement dx. Again, please understand the meaning of dx. I think you guys have done differentiation also by now. You know what dx over here means. Dx means a small change in x. So when I move this block by a small distance, dx, that is I'm changing its x by a small amount. I'm changing its displacement from its mean position by a small number. For the small displacement, we can assume that your x value is not changing by much. Your x value is almost constant. And if your x value is almost constant, the force acting on this block will also be constant. And what will that force be? That force will be equal to kx, right? So for the small displacement dx, can I assume that the force is constant? And what will be the value of the force? The value of the force will be equal to kx. So what will be the work done by the spring during this small displacement? What will be the work done by the spring during this small displacement? So what will be the force exerted by the spring on the block? The force exerted by the spring on the block will be equal to kx. Once again, the value is kx. The negative sign only indicates the direction. And I've already taken the direction over. It's opposite in direction to the displacement. Right? So the value is only kx over here. Right? So your work done by spring will be equal to kx. That is the force value into displacement. It's again what formula am I using? I'm using the formula F bar dot ds bar because for the small displacement, your force is constant. So I can use the formula F bar dot ds bar, F bar dot s bar because your force is constant for the small displacement. So your small displacement is dx, your force is kx, and what's the angle between force and displacement? Your force is acting towards left, whereas the block is moving towards right. So the angle between these two will be cos 180 degrees. Cos 180 degrees, right? So this will be a work done by the spring during this small displacement. So during this small displacement dx, the work done by the spring during this small displacement will be equal to kx into dx into cos 180, which is equal to nothing but minus kx dx because cos 180 is minus 1. But now I need the work done during the entire displacement. I need the work done during the entire displacement. So what do you need to do now? You will add up the work done during all such small displacements. For the small displacement is minus kx dx, where an x value was something, whatever is the x value there. So for everything you'll do this, for every small displacement you'll be doing the same thing. And then you'll add up the total work. You'll add up the work done for all these small displacements. You'll add up the work done during each of the small displacements. And that will give you the total displacement. So what will be the total work done? That will be minus integral kx. So that will be equal to minus. Again, from what position to what position? From x is equal to 0 to x is equal to x naught. That will be the limits. What was the x value initially? The x value was 0 initially. The final value of x is x naught. Right? So what will be the work done by the spring? Solving this integration, we get this to be equal to minus half k x naught. We get that the work done by the spring over here is minus half k x naught. And why is it a negative work done over here? Because the force is acting opposite displacement. That's one way of looking at it, right? But is the spring trying to give, as I move the block from here to here, is the spring trying to give energy or trying to take away energy from the block? The spring is trying to take away energy from the block. It's trying to decrease the speed of the block as I'm moving in this manner. So that's why your work done is negative. So you get your work done by the spring for this particular case is minus half k x naught. When it comes from here to here, you will see that will be plus half k x naught. Right? So your work done by the spring will have different formulas for different cases. As in, if you're moving it from 0 to x naught, it's minus half k x naught squared. If I'm moving it from x naught to 0, it will be plus half k x naught squared. Right? So to give a general formula for the spring now, the general formula for the work done by the spring will be equal to half k x initial squared minus x minus. This will be the general formula for work done by the spring. This will be the general formula for work done by the spring. Right? Where what does x initial indicate? That indicates the initial displacement of the particle from the natural length, and x final is the final position of the particle from the center. Right? And if you apply for this case, what is the initial position? X is equal to 0. What's the final position? X is equal to x naught. So you get your work done by the spring to be equal to minus half k x naught squared. Similarly, if this was moving from here to here, your x initial was x naught, your x final is 0. So you get the work done by the spring to be equal to plus half k x naught squared. Right? So this will be a general formula for the work done by spring. And you'll see that generally in work per energy, at least for your JE level, you'll get most of the questions based on springs. Because spring questions are tough to are like analytical questions. You need to analyze a lot in how the motion happens, what is the spring do, so on and so forth. So you'll have a lot of questions asked on springs. So the first thing you need to be clear with what is the force applied by a spring and what's the formula for work done by a spring. Please be clear with the difference between force formula and the work done formula. Where will you apply the force formula? Where will you apply the work done formula? That's the first thing you should be clear with, right?